Hello again. Let's read some book. Someone gave that book to me. It's a really interesting situation. I would say that maybe it's kind of like that thing that in the Harry Potter that someone gave the book to a girl, the notebook, that person was able to find a friend kind of that became later the Lord Voldemort. So it's a really interesting book. She said she found it on the street and then gave that book to me. The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler, The Continental Book Company, Stockholm, London. And this is the most interesting I would like to show to you. Here. This edition must not be introduced into the British Empire or the U.S.A. Printed by Albert Bonniers, Booktree, Stockholm. Chapter 1. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning, mid-October, with the sun not shining and a look of hard wet rain in the clearness of the foothills. I was wearing my powder blue suit with dark blue shirt, tie and display handkerchief, black brooches, black wool socks with dark blue clocks on them. I was neat, clean, shaved and sober, and I didn't care who knew it. I was everything that a well-dressed private detective ought to be. I was calling on $4 million. The main hallway of the Sternwood place was 2 stories high. Over the entrance doors, which would have let in a troop of Indian elephants, there was a broad stained glass panel showing a knight in dark armor rescuing a lady who was tied to a tree and didn't have any clothes on, but some very long and convenient hair. The knight had pushed the visor of the helmet back to be sociable, and he was fiddling with the knots on the ropes that tied the lady to the tree and not getting anywhere. I stood there and thought that if I lived in the house, I would sooner or later have to climb up there and help him. He didn't seem to be really trying. But let's go to the most interesting part. I was still staring at the hot black eyes when the door opened far back under the stairs. It wasn't the butler coming back. It was a girl. She was 20 or so, small and delicately put together, but she looked durable. She wore pale blue slacks and they looked well on her. She walked as if she were floating. Her hair was a fine tawny wave cut, much shorter than the current fashion of paid boy tresses curled in at the bottom. Her eyes were slate grey and had almost no expression when they looked at me. She came over near me and smiled with her mouth, and she had little sharp predatory teeth, as white as fresh orange beef, and as shiny as porcelain. They glistened between her thin two toothed lips. Her face lacked color and didn't look too healthy. "Tall, aren't you?" she said. I didn't mean to be. Her eyes rounded. She was puzzled. She was thinking. I could see, even on that short acquaintance, that thinking was always going to be a bother to her. "Handsome too," she said, "and I bet you know it." I grunted. "What's your name?" "Really," I said. "Doghouse Rayleigh." "That's a funny name." She bit her lip and turned her head a little and looked at me along her eyes. Then she lowered her lashes until they almost covered her cheeks and slowly raised them again like a future curtain. I was to get to know that trick. That was supposed to make me roll over my back with all four paws in the air. "Are you a prize fighter?" she asked, when I didn't. "Not exactly. I'm a sloth." "Ah." She tossed her head angrily, and the rich color of it glistened in the rather dim light of the beagle. "You're making fun of me." "Uh-huh." "What?" "Get on with you," I said. "You heard me. You didn't say anything. You are just a big tease." She put a thumb up and bit it. It was a curiously shaped thumb, thin and narrow like an extra finger, with no curve in the first joint. She bit it and sucked it slowly, turning it around in her mouth like a baby with a comforter. "You are awful tall," she said. Then she giggled with secret merriment. Then she turned her body slowly and lightly, without lifting her feet. Her hands dropped limp at her sides. She tilted herself toward me on her toes. She fell straight back into my arms. I had to catch her or let her crack her head on the tesselled floor. And I will inform the people who are reading that I'm laughing about how beautiful way she was doing her things and how weak he was by not appreciating and disrespecting and underrating her abilities and her mind. I had to catch her. He's not laughing at all, for sure. The main character of the book. I had to catch her or let her crack her head on the tessellated floor. I caught her under her arms and she went rubber-legged, and I feel she's laughing to me and smiling. That I was amazed first time when I read it. How so girls interesting. I caught her and the main character is saying that he caught her under her arms and she went rubber-legged on him instantly. He had to hold her close to hold her up. When her head was against his chest, she screwed it around. And she screwed it around and giggled at him. "You are cute," she giggled. And she said that she is cute too. Merci.